This is the case of 21-year-old Lucero Princess Arabia and how she vanished after a Thanksgiving party. Lucero was born on October 3rd, 1983 in El Paso, Texas, and to her friends and family she was known as Princess. She had two beautiful boys, and after 5 years, she and her husband decided to separate. Lucero and her two boys moved in with her mother Juanita and with her sister Amanda, and she was just so excited about this new chapter of her life. And this new chapter of her life definitely came with a big surprise. She got pregnant with her third child, and she wasn't sure if she was going to have a boy or a girl, but she was secretly hoping to finally have a daughter. Fast forward to Thursday, November 25th, 2004. Thanksgiving Day, and Lucero and her family just finished having a wonderful dinner. After dinner ended, Lucero's 16-year-old sister Amanda invited her out to a Thanksgiving party that one of her friends was hosting. At this point, Lucero was 8 months pregnant, so she was really looking forward to going out, having some fun, and spending time with her sister. So she goes to the party, and everyone says that she was having a great time. A few hours later, Amanda comes home from the party without her sister. Juanita asks Amanda, "Where is your sister?" And Amanda says that Lucero met a man at the party and had gone to the store with him to buy some cigarettes. She wasn't sure what time she was coming home. So Juanita calls her daughter just to make sure that she's okay, and Lucero picks up the phone and tells her mom that she's still at the party. Juanita tells her that she needs to come home soon, and Lucero says, "Okay, I'll ask him to take me home," referring to the man that she went to the store with. However, a couple of hours pass by and it's now 2 a.m. and Lucero is still not home. Juanita starts to get worried, so she calls her daughter one last time. Lucero picks up the phone and tells her mom that she's still with the man from the party and that he was giving her a ride home. However, as they were driving home, the man decided to stop by his own house at the Kingswood Manor apartments. Lucero told her mom that she was now sitting outside of his apartment just waiting for him to finally take her home. Juanita tells her daughter, "Okay, just come home soon, it's getting late." Lucero tells her, "Don't worry mom, I'll be home in a bit." And then their phone call ended. Later that morning at 7 a.m., Juanita wakes up and sees that her daughter is still not home. She begins to call Lucero's phone, but all of the calls go straight to voicemail. Overall, she called her daughter 28 times, and not once did her daughter pick up the phone. So she starts calling around trying to find the identity of the man that gave her a ride home, and she finds out that it's a man named Richard Chavez. So she goes to his apartment to look for her, and that's when she runs into him. And this is when Juanita decides to confront him. She tells him, "I heard you were giving my daughter a ride home last night. What happened?" Richard says, "Yes, I was giving her a ride home, but then she got mad at me, so she got out of the car and started walking home by herself." Juanita starts asking him questions about where Lucero went or about what time this happened at, and all he says is, "I don't know, I'm too wasted." And that was it. That was all that Richard told Juanita about what happened to her daughter Lucero. After this, Juanita calls 911 and reports her daughter as missing and also lets them know about her suspicions of Richard. Police go speak to Richard and he tells them that at 6 a.m. Lucero got out of the car and started walking home alone. However, Juanita knew that he was lying and that he knew more than he was telling her. So she tells the police to go back to his house to question him more, and when they get there, he was gone. He had packed up his belongings and moved out. This is part 2 on the case of 21-year-old Lucero Princess Arabia and how she vanished after a Thanksgiving party. Police get to Richard's apartment. They see that he is gone. A few of the neighbors told police that they saw Richard rent a U-Haul, pack up his belongings, and abruptly leave. To police and the family, this was very suspicious. I mean, just a few days after Lucero disappears, you pack up your belongings and you leave? So police get a warrant and they go search Richard's apartment, and according to the Charlie Project, they did find traces of Lucero's blood. However, it wasn't enough blood to show that a fatal injury had occurred. Police release a statement letting people know that they're looking for Richard and that he isn't a suspect in the case, but that they do want to speak to him to see if he knows more. An entire year would go by before police finally located Richard. He was now living in Indianapolis, and he had actually been serving time for an unrelated charge. Police find him, they speak to him again, and to this day, they have never named him a suspect in Lucero's disappearance. Even though, according to some articles, blood was found at his apartment and he was the last person to see Lucero, he is still not a suspect in her case. However, Lucero's family feels like he's lying and that he knows more than he's telling them. They're frustrated with the police because they feel like they're not doing enough to solve Lucero's disappearance. Lucero was 8 months pregnant when she went missing, and her family says that she would never willingly leave. She would never pack up her things and go start a new life without her family or without her 2 other boys. They know that something happened to Lucero, and they will not stop fighting for justice and fighting for answers. Besides looking into Richard, police also looked into people that were at the party. And that's when they learned that at the party, there was an altercation between Lucero and another girl. This girl accused Lucero of walking out of the bathroom with her husband. Lucero denied this and told the girl that she was not with her husband and that nothing weird had happened, but this girl didn't believe her, and that resulted in Lucero getting kicked out of the party. And that's when Richard stepped in and offered to give Lucero a ride home. Of course, police did question people at the party, and I did read that the girl who was hosting the party has lawyered up. Besides that, that's really all the information available for Lucero's case. It has now been 18 years since Lucero was last seen, and to this day, she has still not been found. Her 2 young boys have had to grow up without their mother, and her family wonders, what happened to her unborn baby. They did call around to local hospitals to see if a pregnant woman had shown up, but no one had. The family feels like her case is going nowhere and they don't want her case to go cold. So they did create this Facebook page where they post updates about Lucero's case, and they also post about other missing people. I would definitely recommend you go check out the page, show the family some support, and stay up to date with her case. There's a description of what Lucero looks like, what she was last seen wearing, and where you can call if you have any information about Lucero's disappearance. My thoughts and prayers go out to the family, and I truly hope you all find answers soon.
The unsolved murder of the Roberson family. In the summer of 1968, the Roberson family took a vacation to their summer cabin in Good Heart, Michigan. But unbeknownst to them, a man was lurking around the cabin. On June 25th, a man used a rifle to shoot the father, Richard, through the side window, then entering through the home to kill the mother and the 4 kids. 27 days later, neighbors were playing bridge and noticed a horrible smell. They called the caretaker to check it out. When no one answered, he walked into a horrific scene. In the doorway lay Shirley, with her clothes disturbed. With further investigation, 5 more bodies were found, all receiving bullet holes, but Richard and the youngest daughter had blood force trauma as well. 2 weeks later, they had their first suspect, Joseph Scalero. He was found embezzling and had no alibi. In 1973, he committed suicide, and the case is inactive.
Hey guys, I'm back. So let me tell you in 60 seconds why these 2 chicks are serious sociopaths. On July 5th, 2012, Skylar Nee's 16-year-old girl snuck out of her house. The next morning, her dad went into her room and realized she never came home. Skylar's best friend Sheila comes to the house and tells her parents they snuck out to smoke some weed, but she dropped her off shortly before midnight. She also says their friend Rachel was with them. She then helps her parents search the neighborhood. The entire community begins searching for Skylar. After 2 months, Skylar still isn't found and the FBI gets involved. And they start questioning her schoolmates and her friends. The friend Rachel, who was with them that night, has a panic attack. She goes to police and confesses everything. She tells police that she and Sheila had planned Skylar's murder for literally months. They convinced her to sneak out that night, and then they stabbed her over 50 times. They had 0 remorse and posted things like this on social media. I mean, are you even serious?
The unsolved murder of the Black Dahlia. On January 15, 1947, the remains of a 22-year-old aspiring actress, Elizabeth Short, was found in Los Angeles, California. Her body was nude, cut in half, and very pale. It was mistaken as a mannequin at first. Her mouth was also cut from ear to ear to create a chilling smile. Her body was drained of blood and was cut with surgical precision, with no damage to any of the internal organs. The media gave her the nickname the Black Dahlia. With lack of evidence and abundance of false reports, the case was never solved. The killer antagonized the police by sending them letters and personal belongings from Elizabeth. This included her social security card and even her birth certificate. The top suspect is a physician named George Hoddle, but after 73 years, the case is still cold.
Hi, I'm Kim, and this is 1 Minute Murder. Jana Murray was a 30-year-old graduate of Johns Hopkins University. She was bright, loving, and compassionate according to her family and friends. On March 11, 2011, Jana was found brutally murdered in a pool of blood inside the Lululemon store she worked at. She had 322 cuts and blows to her body and head. Jana was unfortunately alive during the entirety of her torture. The murder weapons of this gruesome attack included a hammer, wrench, knife, and a peg used to hold up a store mannequin. Although Jana didn't survive, her coworker Brittany Norwood only had minor injuries. Brittany claimed that 2 masked assailants came inside the Lululemon store, raped both of them, and murdered Jana. There were prints tracked through Jana's blood that were from size 14 shoes. Brittany was discovered tied up with her pants split at the crotch. However, as forensic evidence rolled in, Brittany's story started falling apart. Apple Store employees next door told police that they had heard the 2 women arguing the night of the murder. One employee even heard someone screaming, "Oh God, please help me." Jana's DNA was also found in Brittany's car. Jana had discovered stolen Lululemon items in Brittany's purse, and when Jana told Brittany she was going to the manager, Brittany snapped. She had fabricated the entire story of 2 mass murderers. Brittany was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole.
There's a lot of sketchiness and theories around Brittany Murphy's death. Wait till the end to hear all of them and let me know what you think. So in the early hours of December 20th in 2009, Brittany went out to her balcony because she couldn't breathe. She told her husband Simon to grab her mom. Once her mom Sharon got to her side, she said, "Mommy, I can't catch my breath. Help me, I'm dying. I'm going to die. Mommy, I love you." She eventually went back to bed, then later at 7:30 a.m., she collapsed in her bathroom. Paramedics arrived and transported her to the hospital. She would end up dying from cardiac arrest at 10:04 a.m. In her autopsy, her cause of death was community-acquired pneumonia, with the contributing factors being iron deficiency anemia and multiple drug intoxication. Weird thing though, her husband Simon would die of the same thing 5 months later. Theories range from the husband did it, the mom did it could have been mold, drugs, an eating disorder, the list goes on and on.